Hey everyone, welcome to another MLM dumpster fire. Today we're here to watch a live stream from an Arbonne girly. Her name is Stephanie. I don't think I've covered her on my channel before. I did cover her best friend, or who seems to be her bestie, her MLM bestie. So, who knows? If one of them leaves Arbonne, they probably would no longer be besties. But this is a photo of the two of them. You might recognize the second one. Her name is Carly. So it says, we went from living in basement suites to flying first class plus traveling the world. If we can do it, so can you. Heart. I just thought this was funny because it says basement suites, and that sounds very familiar, doesn't it? I mean, most of these MLMs, it feels like most of these MLM leaders like to say that they used to live in basements before they got successful and rich, but whatever. Trigger warning, I skipped forward a little bit and I saw a part where she was talking about toxic relationships, and I think she's gonna go into like abuse, some form of abuse. So if that's not something that you can talk about or listen today, I would definitely skip this video. I don't want to talk about that. It's very triggering to me, but it is what it is. We're just, gonna power through. By the way, this is like 46 minutes long and I cannot promise that I'm gonna make it through the whole thing, but I'll do my best and you guys do it too. Before we get into the video, don't forget that you can click that like and subscribe button. If you'd like to support my channel, that's a nice free way to do that. And as always, big shout out to my channel members. Thank you guys for being here, and let's just get right into this because it's long as fuck.
Hello, just wait for a few of you guys to hop on. I just made myself an afternoon coffee. I don't normally do coffees. I like to do fizz instead, but I was craving something like warm and cozy this afternoon, so I decided to make myself a cup of coffee instead. Hi everyone. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about the business, Arbonne, but I'm also going to talk about my story and like what led me to starting my business and then the evolution of it too. Because what I figured out is that what I found is I don't talk enough about the business or about my experience with it. And that's something I want to be doing more of because this business has changed.
What do you talk about? You talk about your lifestyle. You make income claims, in my opinion, or how you travel first class and you used to be so poor and now you're so rich thanks to this opportunity. You talk about recruiting, right?
Changed my life. You guys who have been following me for a long time have truly seen this, but there's a lot of people who haven't been following me for a long time and just think that this is how my life always has been, and it certainly has not. So let's start at the beginning, of my story, just a little bit of who I am, where I come from, and pre-Arbonne era. So I live in Victoria, BC, Canada. That's where I've been born and raised. I've never lived anywhere else. I travel everywhere and have always loved traveling, and I experience new cultures and places that way. At this point in my life, I kind of wish I would have lived somewhere else, but I don't know what the future will hold. My parents still live here, and I have a younger brother. He's 19 months younger. My dad was a doctor. He was a GP. He used to deliver babies. And then my mom was a French school teacher, turned elementary school counselor. So two professional parents. And then my younger brother, he's 19 months younger. He is a landscaper in town here. And then he also does kabuki cabbing because Victoria is a really touristy city. So kabuki cabbing is when you see people riding their bikes and they have trailers behind. And then he gives tours of Victoria, and he crushes doing that. So I grew up here. I was always a straight A student, always tried to do the best at everything. I struggled with perfectionism majorly, especially as a kid, always wanted to be the best at everything. And it was a way for me to get seen, for sure. I recognize that now. My parents did go through a separation when I was 10 years old to 12 years old. Okay, we're back. So they did end up getting back together when I was in grade 7. Which is pretty rare. And what I didn't realize though is that separation, my parents, separating that whole period of time really actually affected me a lot. And I didn't give myself enough credit for that it hurt me a lot. By the time I was 13, I started drinking and smoking pot, and this sparked a 6-year addiction for me where I was just drinking nonstop, like every weekend during school days, I was smoking pot like I was a stoner. So I was literally high 24/7, like before school, at school, lunch, breaks, after school, before bed. And then by the time I was 17, I got into cocaine, and then I couldn't drink without doing cocaine. And so things got bad real quick for me. And by the time I was 19 years old, I ended up in rehab here on Vancouver Island at a place called Cedars. And it was one of the best things that ever happened to me, because it actually just allowed me to sit there and start to learn about myself and about the disease of addiction, and just like that I didn't have to live my life like this. It gave me a choice. Like, I either get to choose addiction and continue how I was living, or I can choose recovery and a whole new way of being that's going to be difficult, because I had to face myself and my emotions and all the hard things, but then I could live this amazing life. So I chose recovery. I ended up going back to school. I had to upgrade my high school because I barely graduated. You guys, went from being a straight A student to getting like 50% in all of my classes. Like, I barely passed high school. So I had to upgrade my math and English to even get into college, not even university, into community college. And so I did that. And then I decided to get my social work degree because I wanted to work in mental health and addictions. I wanted to be an addictions counselor and give back what I learned, right? Like, I truly believe in that. Like, we have the power to help other people based off our experiences. And so I really, really wanted to do that. So I got my social work degree, but after that I ended up in politics, took a huge right turn and ended up in politics here, which I'm really grateful for because I knew nothing about politics.
I made a face because I feel personally that that's such a shame. I agree that our experiences can help us help others if we've been through that, but also you don't have to go through something like that, something horrific like that. You can still help others if you want to. But anyway, I feel very sad that she wanted to help people who are struggling with stuff that she was struggling with from such a young age as well. I did not expect that. From wanting to actually make a difference and actually help the people that really need help, she ended up in Arbonne in a product-based pyramid scheme, in my opinion, where she's scamming people out of money. The majority of her downline, they work for free. They don't make any profit. She makes all the profit based off of their hard work. She's the only one that gets to travel first class and doesn't live in basement suites anymore. Or maybe like 1-2 people from her downline with her, but the majority of them are not making any profit. But I guess, I mean, maybe she's gonna say how she was recruited. Maybe she was in a vulnerable position at that time as well. We'll see. I just think it's really, really sad that instead of actually helping people with addiction, she ended up scamming people in a product-based pyramid scheme, in my opinion.
So I got to learn a lot about at that time. I always struggled, like I was in a lot of student debt at that point. Like my parents did cover my university fees, but they didn't cover my living fees. And somehow I managed to get myself in $40,000 worth of debt, even though I was working 3 jobs at the time while going to university full-time. I didn't know how to manage my money, okay? So credit cards were racked, big student debt, and it was really stressful. And any of you guys who live in debt, you guys know that it's just like the heaviest weight on your chest and your shoulders, and it's just poor connection. Okay. It just consumes your thinking. It did for me anyways, right? Where I just couldn't stop thinking about like, how am I ever going to get out of this? And my job in politics, you guys, I started making like $40,000 a year. And then I was so happy to get a raise to $45,000 a year. But you guys, my paychecks were $1,200 every 2 months. So that wasn't even enough to like even cover my expenses yet living. So I just kept getting in more and more and more and more debt, especially if I wanted to buy like new clothes or anything like that for myself. So I was sober this whole time too, right? But I was in a lot of like different relationships that really showed me that I just lacked a lot of self-worth. Like I really chose partners that brought out the worst in me, and that, you know, it just reflected how I truly felt about myself inside. And so there was this part of me that like, I was living this great life and I was happy and things were great, but then there was this underlying issue of me never feeling good enough. And that reflected in my romantic relationships all throughout my 20s. Anyways, I ended up in this really abusive relationship, and something I never thought that I would find myself in. This man, he was physically abusive, mentally abusive, emotionally abusive, and it was super confusing to me because I'd always been like, why does that girl stay? Like, why doesn't she leave him? Like, I don't get it. Like, what? Why doesn't she just leave? And then I found myself in that situation where it was literally like an addiction, like the chemicals that get released in your brain when you're in an abusive.
This is another thing that I find a little bit iffy. I really don't want to judge or like be mean, but well, at least on this part where she's sharing all her trauma, by the way, like she's just 6 minutes in and there's so many different traumas that were dumped on us. And I feel like it's really important to talk about these things openly with people, whether you choose, with people in your life or whether you choose to share it on social media. Absolutely talk about that. It's really important to normalize talking about these things. However, if you are talking about these things with an expected outcome that people are going to relate to you and then join your Arbonne business, then that's shitty in my opinion. Then you're probably better off not talking about that. Yeah, we know that this is where this is going to go. She's got a trauma dump on us and then she found Arbonne and somehow her life turned great. We all know in the anti-MLM movement what Arbonne is. It's a product-based pyramid scheme, in my opinion. The income disclosure statement is going to be linked in the description box below. If you're new here, you can take a look at it and you're going to see that the majority of people in Arbonne, the majority of distributors, they don't make any profit, even though they're working for free. But anyway, what I wanted to say originally is you don't have to go through something terrible to be able to understand why people don't leave abusive relationships. Okay, I feel like at this day and age where there are a lot of people that talk about this openly, we should have it in us. It's same with addiction. You don't have to go through an addiction to be able to help people. You can help them anyway and you can understand people.
Relationship like that are the same as addiction. So I kept going back to this guy and it just shattered me. Like I literally thought I was this strong woman down to felt like nothing and like literally was like, is life worth living? Like that's the point that I got to. And you guys, how old was I? 27, 28 years old at this point. And that's something I haven't talked about in a long time either. I used to talk about it a lot more, but that was honestly such a terrible, terrible time in my life and brought out the worst in me also. But that is actually how I met my future ex-husband, Hunter's dad. So I had to call the cops on my ex-boyfriend because he was so awful. And I then had a cop come check my welfare to see if I was okay. In walks my ex-husband. And I was 28 years old at the time. And we started dating a few months after that. And he had 2 kids. As you guys know, my stepkids, Taylor and Mateja, they're beautiful. And I'm still really close with them today. And, we just got along so great and things were so good. And we were in the relationship and we got unexpectedly pregnant with Hunter when we were 6 months into our relationship. We weren't trying. I was on birth control. So it was just meant to happen. I truly believe Hunter was placed into my life for a reason. And so I ended up having Hunter when I was 29 years old. And I was working in government at the time. I was doing executive assistant work. You guys, okay, we're back. I was doing executive assistant work and it wasn't something I was passionate about, but I had the benefits, I had the pension, I had stable income, basically everything that people had always told me to look for in a job and that I had made it. Oh my God, you have a government job? That's amazing. That's the goal. That's the dream.
So benefits, you are getting paid for the work you're putting in. You have everything that you don't have in an MLM. Not that you're on top of Arbonne or very close to the top. You have a lot more money, but you don't have any of that. You don't have stability. If Arbonne turns affiliate model, you're gonna lose your downline, which means you're gonna lose the majority of your paycheck as well. Arbonne can terminate you. You don't have that stability. You don't have those benefits. You don't get paid vacation with Arbonne. So sure, if you like that kind of way, I'm a freelancer myself. I don't get those things either. I don't actually have like paid vacations now. I do have benefits though, because I pay for my own benefits, like healthcare and stuff like that. But not everyone wants to live like that. And it's totally okay if they don't. But also, at least with my freelance business, I'm not scamming anybody out of money, and I get paid for the work that I put in, which doesn't happen for the majority of people in Arbonne, in all MLMs, actually.
But I wasn't fulfilled, right? And so I really just felt like, okay, like I'm wasting my time here, my talent, my brains, my passion, just sitting here doing emails and helping someone else book their flights. And I loved the people I worked with. Trust me, I had awesome offices and people that I worked with. I loved that. It had nothing to do with the reflection of the people. It was just the job wasn't for me. So I ended up switching jobs and working in a mental health and addiction treatment center. I worked at Ravensview here on Vancouver Island, which is a private mental health and addiction treatment that also does not only addiction, but does depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder. And I loved that job because my job was getting people in the door, as well as connecting with health professionals in the community, like psychiatrists, counselors, doctors, and getting referrals into the place. And then I was also the first face that people would see when they walked in the door. And so that was literally my dream job. I loved it because I got to be on the phone with those people when they were scared to come in. And then I got to like help ease their anxieties and their fears about coming to treatment. And then I got them there, right? And then Hunter's dad and I, Corey, we got married when I was actually pregnant with Hunter. And so we were married at the time. And in August 2019, Carly, if you guys know Carly Pinton, you've probably seen her all over my social media. She's my best friend now, but at the time we weren't best friends. She was just a social media friend. We had both been in the fitness industry. So I used to be like an ambassador for Nutribolics and Cellucor, and then she was one for Ballistic Labs. And the fitness community, like especially like mainland and island, is really small. So we knew each other through that. I had watched her do Arbonne for a year, you guys. I watched her like be able to stop her personal training and nutrition business. She brought her husband at the time home from his job. She was able to get the white Mercedes-Benz. So I watched this all on social media and I was like, oh, this is so cool. But I never asked her about it until a year after she started. So in August 2019, I reached out to Carly and I was like, can you just tell me what Arbonne's all about? And I just need to say, I wasn't a stranger to network marketing. I had been a part of 3 other network marketing companies prior to this. I wasn't one of those skeptics or haters of network marketing like some people are. I always saw what was possible with it. I saw women become successful and be able to change their and their family's life.
How many women though? How many women? From hundreds of, from millions women that are doing network marketing, and men and all other people. Distributors that do MLMs in general, not just Arbonne. How many successful are? Yeah, it's so easy to say, oh, I saw what was possible. I saw that I have less than 1% of chances of making good money in this scam. I mean, MLM company. And I chose to be optimistic to see what's what. You literally have 99% of chances of failing. She said she was talking about her past struggles and stuff a lot back in the day. So she was doing influencing. She says she was an ambassador for whatnot. I've never heard of that company. But so she had a following on social media and she was talking about her vulnerabilities. She was sharing her past, her struggles with people to relate to people, right? So people related to her actually, and people were following her for a reason. And then when she ended up joining Arbonne, she had an audience that she can recruit into Arbonne. That's why she's successful. So there we go.
Lives with it. And so that always intrigued me as a good business model, right? So anyways, I've been a part of 3 other, but had never found success with them. For 2 reasons. One, I wasn't willing to dive into the personal development and look at my own limiting beliefs and fears because that's huge. And then second, I liked the products. Like I cannot fake if I like something. So I liked the products that I was representing, but some of the products I didn't like, or some of the things about the other companies, I was like, don't love this, right? Like auto ships. I was never one for auto ships. I hated it. So anyways, Carly and I hopped on the phone. She told me all about Arbonne in August 2019. And I was like, sounds great. And I didn't sign up. Fast forward a few weeks later, my husband at the time asked me for a divorce and my life felt like it was crumbling. You guys, Hunter had just turned 2 years old. It was one of the darkest times of my life. Where like, you know, you have those like goals and life planned out and all of a sudden everything was shattering around me where I was like, this was not in the plans. Like I did not plan to be a single mom. That is something I never ever wanted for myself or for Hunter or for my family. And so it was really dark for me. And then I also started finding out a lot of things that happened within our marriage, which I won't share publicly anymore. It's on my TikTok deep down if you want to see. But I found out a lot of lies that happened within my marriage. So it also was just awful because the person I thought that I knew that I was married to wasn't the person. So anyways, Carly reached out to me at the end of September 2019 and was like, so you're going to be a single mom. You ready to do Arbonne? And I was like, I guess. And so I signed up at the end of September of 2019. And so that's when I started my business. The next couple months were really dark for me.
This is horrible. Imagine Imagine. All right, my personal opinion on Carly is that Carly knows what she's doing. She knows what she's doing. She knows that the majority of people don't make any profit below her, and she doesn't care. Carly is on top of Arbonne as well. So she saw this other influencer that was kind of curious about Arbonne, I guess, in the past, and she saw that she was getting a divorce. She was obviously talking about her ex, who knows what happened on TikTok. She was very open about it, which again is something that brings you audience on TikTok, especially when you share these kind of things. Imagine being so trash that you see a person getting a divorce, about to be a single mother. She said her son was only 2 years old, and she reaches out to her and be like, so you're gonna be a single mother, are you ready to start the Arbonne biz? Maybe Carly knew that she has a following, so she's gonna be successful when she starts, so maybe that's as well. Maybe that played. No, I think even if she didn't have a following, Carly would still reach out to her. You're gonna be a single mother? You wanna join my Arbonne business? What the fuck? You guys let me know down below what you think about that. I think it's absolutely disgusting from Carly. Disgusting.
Didn't do much with the business. And what was a pivotal conversation for me was when Carly and I hopped on the phone and she asked me, Steph, what do you want your life to look like in 5 years? And I was like, okay, well, I would love to not be in debt anymore. I would love to buy Hunter and I a home. I would love to be able to take him on vacation like Disneyland. And like, I would love to be able to buy us new clothes without stressing or having to put it on my visa, not knowing when I'm going to pay it off. And she's like, okay, if you keep doing what you're doing right now in your life, will you be able to do that? And I was like, no, not unless I win the lottery. Because at that point, you guys, I was working at the Mental Health and Addiction Treatment Center. I was living paycheck to paycheck. And now with this whole bomb of me being a single mom, I'm like, hey, I need to now get a 2-bedroom apartment, pay for this by myself. And yeah, I was making about $65,000 a year. And my paychecks after benefits and pension were like $1,700. So a 2-bedroom place, I'd probably be lucky to find one at that time for $2,000 a month. I'm like, and then my car, and then insurance and gas and daycare, all this stuff. I'm like, oh my God, like, how am I going to make ends meet? Right? So, and she's like,
but the ex-husband was a cop. Wouldn't he have to pay some like, the kid was only 2 years old, so wouldn't he have to pay? Wouldn't she have some support as a single mom as well? Oh, she's not even in the US, she's in Canada. But if any of you guys are from Canada, let me know, how does that work? Does Canada have like support for single moms? Because I know in Ireland, when you're a single mom, you get a lot. Okay, you get not only government support, like basic government support, financial, and then you get extra money for the kid. You have to get alimony from the dad if he has a job and he can pay for it. And as a single mom, you also have the right to get a house or apartment where you don't pay rent. You only pay the bills like electricity and stuff. So it's very handy in Ireland, though Ireland has a very good social welfare system. Unfortunately, people abuse that system because it's so good, but you know what I mean, like you would get a lot of support. So I feel like Canada should have something, at least. I don't know, maybe not. You guys let me know down below, because I'm so sorry, I don't know anything about how does this work in Canada.
Hey, will your life look like this in 5 years? I'm like, no, of course not. She's like, hey, what does your life look like if you're earning $25,000 a month, which was like average income for a national vice president in Arbonne. You can look at earnings.arbonne.com for what's typical right now. Just know that I'm not typical, I'm not average, never strived to be average. Anyways, what does your life look like when you're earning $25,000 a month? I was like, I don't know. I'll think about it. She's like, okay, think about it. I was like, okay, I'll think about it. She's like, okay, I want you to think about it right now. And I want you to tell me, what does your life look like? And I was like, okay. So I took a second and was silent. And like literally my mind was blank for a bit because I realized I had never thought about this. What does my life look like when I'm earning that kind of money? I had literally never thought about this in my life, ever. And so I started to think and I was like, okay, well.
Okay, so I took a look at the income disclosure statement. She said $20,000 a month is an average paycheck for national vice presidents. But if we take a look at the income disclosure statement, we can see that the median annual earnings are $148,000 and average annual earnings are $190,000. But if you're earning $20,000 a month, you are getting $240,000 a year. We can see see top 50 average is 400,000, sure. But anyway, I'm just trying to say, she said take a look at the income disclosure statement for averages, but 20K a month is not average for the top rank. It's not median and it's not average, but okay. Anyway, so there it goes. If you're gonna reference at least she referenced the income disclosure statement, I guess, but like, learn your numbers. This was done in 2024 around Christmas, as you can see the Christmas tree. So this is the income disclosure statement that she should have been looking at, and the 20K a month is not the average earning for a national vice president according to this income disclosure statement. But anyway, you go on, Steph.
I could buy Hunter and I a house. I would be out of debt. I could take Hunter to Disneyland. I could take him to other trips. I could actually put money towards savings and investments and have something for our future. I would be able to have the time freedom. I wouldn't have to go to work every day if I didn't want to. I could be at home with Hunter more. I wouldn't have to pay for daycare. And then like all of a sudden, all of these ideas kept flowing through my head. And I was like, holy shit, why have I never dreamt big like this before? And that excited me. Like, I got excited, you guys, because I was like, whoa, that's actually possible for me. And then I started to realize, okay, like, if all these other...
It was possible for you because you had a following on social media, maybe, or like, it's not possible for the majority of people. They have 99% of chances of never making any profit, which is what happens for the majority of your downline staff. The majority of them are working, not getting paid for what they do. They're not even profiting.
Girls can do this, then why not me? And I'm not even just talking about Arbonne girls becoming national vice presidents. I'm talking about all these girls in network marketing or who have been successful. If all these other girls, women, people have found success online, whether it's through network marketing, through Arbonne, or through a different business, I'm like, okay, if they can do it, then why not me? Like, there's literally no reason why.
There literally is. They either joined these companies decades ago, Arbonne, let's say, Arbonne, decades ago when it was new. Maybe they had a big following on social media, then they could become successful. We've seen a person who's a nutritionist who is shilling Arbonne products to all her clients. So she doesn't really recruit, apparently. That's what she said. Apparently, she doesn't have to recruit because she has so many clients through her nutrition business. And she sells them Arbonne products and then she earns a lot of money. Well, a lot of money. She ranked up like to area manager, I think. Anyway, she managed to see some success without allegedly without recruiting or building a team. Maybe some of them, like Brooke Neal, they have a mom who has been on top of Arbonne for 18 years. And then when Brooke joined, her mom, in my opinion, helped her rank up. So these people, there's literally reasons why all these people are successful. There's also reasons why the majority of people are not successful. The majority, 99% of people. There are literally reasons, and you're not being you're being skeptical because you've seen data and statistics that are out there. They're publicly available that prove that it's a shitty business opportunity and the majority of people are not going to make any profits. So, Steph, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, but Carly is a shit friend, in my opinion.
Except for me. I'm the reason why. And I need to figure that out. So that's when I decided to go all in on my business. So to put it in perspective, I was working about like 60-hour work weeks. I was working my butt off. I was navigating a really nasty divorce. It was not good, you guys. It was freaking brutal. We were in and out of mediation. The stuff that happened during that year and a half, nightmares, navigating that, now becoming a single mom, having to figure this out. Still had to live with my ex-husband throughout finding all this stuff out too. It was awful, but that is how I started my business. And so I could have had all the excuses in the world. Like, I'm too busy. I don't have time. I'm too sad. I'm crying every day. And like, I'm so mad and life sucks, blah, blah, blah. I could have had all the excuses, but I was like, you know what? Fuck this. Being the broke single mom is not going to be my story. This is not going to be the end of me. What he did and the end of our marriage is not going to be the end of my story. And it's not going to dictate that my life is now going in the gutter. Fuck that. Not happening. And so I went all in, and I didn't know what I was doing, you guys. Like, yes, I'd been a part of other network marketing companies. It didn't have training like Arbonne. It was completely different. But I dove deep into the training with Arbonne. Not only the training with Arbonne, but I dove deep into network marketing training. So I literally read and listened to.
You know what? If I was a broke single mom and if I was listening to Steph, I would not appreciate the fact that she kind of like the way she talks about these things and these situations that people are in, like broke single moms. She talks as if like, oh, I'm so much better than that. I never strive to be average. I'm so much better than all of that because I managed to scam a lot of people out of money in Arbonne, in my opinion. Now I'm getting a little bit like I feel sad for her. I guess this is, Erin always says this, and I really appreciate when she reminds me when I'm editing her videos. Two things can be true at once, okay? We can feel sad and bad for what Stephanie has been through. She has had a very tough childhood, whatever happened at her divorce, whatever. But also the fact is that she's scamming people out of money in Arbonne. So I guess she was a really vulnerable. She was probably a very perfect target for Carly. And yes, I say target on purpose. It's very, very disgusting in my opinion.
So many different network marketing books. I listened to podcasts that were about network marketing, but also about personal development. And those podcasts to me felt like, honestly, free therapy. Because I was like, hey, this is it. This is how I level up. And so this is what my days looked like back then. Okay. Because I told you how busy I was. I would wake up in the morning and I'd have to get ready. I'd listen to a podcast while I was getting ready. Okay. So that's like whatever, 20 minutes, 30 minutes listening to that. Hunter's on my lap, trying to feed him, get out the door. I'd have to drive him to daycare. I'd try and listen to it then, but sometimes he would, he'd be talking, we'd be talking. And then I'd have my half an hour drive to work. So that's when I'd listen to podcasts. Got my personal development done for the day. Then I'd work. Then at lunchtime, I would do business overview calls. So I'd present the Arbonne business to people on the phone. If I didn't have one of those scheduled, then I'd listen to another podcast or do something for my business, like show up online, connect with clients. I use that half hour to an hour to my advantage instead of just sitting there scrolling.
If I understand correctly, this was the time when she was sharing about her failing marriage, her terrible divorce that she was going through, and a lot of people out there connected with her through that. It is relatable, right? Because there's a lot of shitty people out there. I mean, in my opinion, including Stephanie and Carly, in my opinion. And people go through shit, especially in relationships and marriages and stuff. Like, people go through terrible stuff, but the fact that she was using that, in my opinion, to link to other people who are vulnerable to recruit them into her Arbonne business. And in my opinion, she was not doing that because she cares. She was doing that because she wanted to earn 20K a month that Carly so nicely brainwashed her. Again, in my opinion. Good God, this is a lot, and we're not even halfway into her live stream, so I'm just gonna shut up.
Instagram or Facebook. And then I went back to work, and then work was over, and then I had to go pick up Hunter. That's again when I'd be on the phone with people or I'd listen to podcasts. And then I'd have a couple hours at night before Hunter's bedtime, because he was still 2 years old. You guys, he went to bed at like 7. And I spent the time with him. If we had a team call, I'd put an earbud in and listen to the team call with one earbud in while making dinner, while figuring out Hunter, putting him to bed, whatever. I always was on. Even if I couldn't listen to half the stuff, I always made sure I was plugged into the team. And then I put him to bed. And instead of...
So you were not fully present with Hunter because you always had someone in your ear talking stuff about MLMs and how to succeed in your MLM business. So you're not fully present. Also, imagine people like her day's busy, right? But imagine people who do all of that, like work, take care of their kids, and also work the business in the pockets of their time. They do all of that, and the majority of them don't even make any money for doing all of that. So you're just burning yourself out. You're so tired, you're overworked, and you're not getting any money for that. It's terrible.
Me watching Netflix or scrolling all night like I used to pre-Arbonne, I worked. That was my dedicated work time. Those 2 hours at night before I went to bed, that is when I worked. And that is how I built my business up to a VP level. So you guys, I started in September 2019. I became a regional vice president, the 3rd out of 4th management levels in, when was it? End of May. So June 1st. And that is the level when you can get the white Mercedes. And so 2 weeks later, I drove off the Mercedes lot in my brand new GLE 350. And I was so excited, you guys. For me, it was so much more than just the car. It showed like the efforts that I put in, like about all the shit I had been through those last like 8 months, how hard it was. And this paused again. And then building up a team. Whoa. Oh my God, you guys have seen that I get nervous when I do lives. You guys just see, I sweat every time. That's so embarrassing. Anyways, it was so much more than a car to me, and I was so excited. And I did this all while working full time at the Mental Health and Addiction Treatment Center. And I ended up quitting my full
The irony of her full-time job being actually helping people who really, really need help. But then in her free time, she was scamming people in a product-based pyramid scheme, in my opinion. Wow.
time job 5 months after that. And I was terrified, you guys, but I had this epiphany when I was driving up the driveway to the treatment center, which was on 25 acres on top of a mountain. It was stunning. Like, I loved going to work every day. But I drove up the driveway and I was like, why am I here? Why am I going to work? Like, my whole goal with building my Arbonne business was to have time freedom and to be with Hunter more. Why am I here? And I walked right into my boss's office and I said, and he was a friend of mine too. I was like, I think I want to quit. And he's like, you think you want to, or you're quitting? And I was like, I'm quitting. And so October 15th of 2020 was my last day ever being employed. And that is when I started my full-time self-employment journey with Arbonne. The following month, we went into qualification for national vice president, the top level of the company. And then we ended up closing it out in 3 months. So I closed it at the end of January 2021. And that is what I've been doing full-time since, you guys. And now my life looks so much different. So I had to live with my ex-husband for a year after we separated, which was brutal. And then I ended up moving into one of my friend's parents' basement suite. So it was a small 2-bedroom suite that I lived in when I went nation, and throughout like a year of me being a national vice president, I lived in this small basement suite. And I just want to be like honest with you guys, because like it's not like it was this big glamorous thing, you guys. Like, yeah, I had the Benz and I was also living in a basement suite that cost me $1,200 a month. Thank God they gave me such a good deal, because it really helped me get on my feet. And what was really cool about this too was that I got to live right down the road from some of my closest friends, and I got to live with their parents. And so it felt like a community and another family for me, which also just really helped me get on my feet being a single mom. So I was really, really grateful for that. So now this is what I get to do full time, and I love it. Like, our team has grown so much. I get the time flexibility I've always looked for. Like, I get to schedule what my days look like. I can work from wherever. I can work from home. I can work from the beach. I can work on vacation.
I thought I paused, but I didn't. What about your team? I like that she said, I get to do whatever I want. I get to work wherever I want. My team has grown a lot, which means you get more money because your team is working. You have a huge team below you working, and you get benefits off of their hard work. The majority of your team is not even profiting, and they're working for free. There are probably a lot of other struggling single moms in your downline who are actually not making any profit. So it's really shitty, in my opinion, that you've been through so much hardship and you are unable to see that you are causing harm to people who are going through the same hardships that you went through. It's kind of sad, you know, in my opinion.
I get to choose when and where I work. And then the financial flexibility that it's offered me is amazing. Network marketing is such a brilliant business model that I think a lot of people are still sleeping on. That I think a lot of people probably just don't understand how it works and what the opportunity.
No, a lot of people are in network marketing not making any profit and working for free. There's literally data and statistics out there that prove that it's such a shitty business opportunity where you have 99% of chances of never making money. There's data out there that shows that you have more chances of making money by gambling rather than joining an MLM. Do your research, Carly. I almost said Carly. Steph. I'm so bad with names. I don't do that on purpose. I'm sorry.
And so let me just go over a little bit of what the opportunity is, if you guys aren't aware of it, or if you guys don't know like much about Arbonne as a company too. So Arbonne has been around since 1980. Why this is important is that we're celebrating our 45th birthday next year, but also we're a company that has stood the test of time. There are so many network marketing companies that come in all hot and heavy. They got this really exciting new product and everyone.
Yeah, those people who joined those network marketing companies in the beginning and recruit a bunch of people at pre-launch and during launch, they earn a bunch of money. And then some MLMs don't survive, sure. But the fact is that when you're joining an MLM, if you want a slight slightly bigger chance to be successful, you have to join when a company is new, when it's only launching, when it's not oversaturated. The fact that Arbonne is a old company is not a good thing for average people with no social media following who are joining now, because it's oversaturated. They have no chances at all to be successful and make profit in Arbonne unless they manage to grow their social media somehow, and then they have a bunch of followers that they can recruit into their team. That's the only way, really.
Everyone wants to flock to them, but then their company goes under within the next, like, I don't know, it can be a couple of years, but 5 to 10 years. So we're a company that has truly stood the test of time, and we're not going anywhere. So the company was actually founded by a man named Peter Mork, and he was working for a cosmetic company at the time, and he was just completely outraged by the industry and the standards. For connection again. Okay. Because there basically are none, and were none then. So today in Canada, we ban around 500 ingredients. In the US, they ban around 15, which is just horrendous, right? Because like, it's really important. Ingredients are really important, especially what we put on our skin. Like, our skin is our largest organ. What we put on it gets absorbed into our bloodstream within seconds. And we are being sold toxic products on the store shelves every single day. But for some reason we think, oh, because it's on in a store, it must be safe, it must be good. No, false. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So Peter
the fact that it's an MLM product also doesn't really mean that it's safer than something on store shelf.
Realized this, and he realized this back in 1980. And so he wanted to create a company that had products that were pure, safe, and beneficial, as well as botanically based. And so he mixes the best of nature and science. And so we've been vegan from the very, very, very beginning, and which is really also important because vegan wasn't really like a trendy thing. Like, it wasn't cool to be like health conscious as much as it is now. Like, it's way more aware. I don't even know cool. It's just, we're way more aware of it now than we were in the 1980s. Like, if you think of the 1980s, like, people smoked on airplanes, they smoked in restaurants, like, it just wasn't as well known. So he was really ahead of his time with his thinking. So it started with skincare and makeup, and then we brought in nutrition about 17 years ago. Anyways, we are vegan, cruelty-free, halal certified, Leaping Bunny certified, and then we're also B Corp certified. And I had no idea what that meant. I was like, cool, that's some tax thing. It's not a tax thing. It's actually a really hard certification to get, and something that now that I know what it is, I'm super proud of our company having, because it is a really hard certification to get. Most companies that have it fail. I think it's like 1%, I think, of companies who apply to become a B Corp actually become one, because it's that hard. And so we first became one, when was it? 2020? Yeah, in 2020, we barely passed, which doesn't matter. We were so proud of passing. But you have to go through rigorous testing to maintain that certification, and you have to get recertified every 3 years. So we got recertified last year, and we passed with flying colors, and now we are the #1 direct selling company in the nutrition and beauty space that is B Corp certified. And so what this means is that we put people, the planet, and the community above making a profit.
That could also just mean that other companies didn't even request to be certified, though. Arbonne might be the only one. But I don't think, isn't Lime Life? No, what is it? Beauty Society? Brooke always goes on about them being B Corp. So like, it could be that other MLMs just didn't apply to be B Corp. But anyway, misleading. Also, even if Arbonne had the best products in the world, facts are still that they are very expensive. A lot of people can't afford to buy Arbonne products regularly because they're that expensive. Second of all, it's still an MLM company, which means it's an unethical business model, and I would never ever, even if they had the best products, I would not support an unethical business model where the majority of people are working for free and not making any profit. But that's just my opinion.
Why this matters is that we source our ingredients for all of our products globally. So this means that we're definitely sourcing ingredients in some countries that wouldn't have regulatory practices like we would in first world countries. So this ensures that we are not contributing to things like child slave labor, the degradation of the environment. And it makes sure that we are doing everything in our power to make sure that we're doing things environmentally friendly, all the way from sourcing the ingredients to getting the ingredients to the processing and manufacturer, as well as getting the products to the client's doors. Like, if you guys have ordered Arbonne, you see that the boxes, they're all recycled boxes, but there's usually just one strand of tape over it. And then there's no plastic filling in it. There's just paper. So it's all recyclable. And then we have huge environmental goals. So I know that's kind of boring to talk about. And I thought it was cool at the time, but like as time goes on, I'm more and more proud of that. That's why I like to talk about it, because I think it's really important to be a part of a company that is not only awesome and has awesome products, but is actually trying to do better for the greater good and not just for the company. I liked that. Anyways, we have over 400 products. So we have makeup, skincare, nutrition, back body, stuff for the kids. So we basically have something for everybody. And to me, that was also really appealing because I'm like, okay, it's not just hair, it's not just makeup, it's not just one thing. There's products for everybody, which means my market is everybody. And I like that. So my parents use Arbonne, Hunter uses Arbonne, I use Arbonne. Literally everyone in my family uses Arbonne, no matter if they're male, female, or how old they are. Like my dad's almost 80, I'm 36, Hunter's 7, we all use Arbonne. And I think that is so cool. Okay, and so to the business side, no, we should go over a little bit of network marketing because people are like, isn't that a pyramid scheme? No, it's not a pyramid scheme. Pyramid schemes are illegal. And in pyramid schemes, products aren't exchanged. So the only way that we make money is off products sold. So the 3 ways that we make money. 1, commissions. So I make commission off products sold to my clients, okay? The second way is overrides. This is based off my team's product sales. So I can earn a small percentage based off what my team sells.
First of all, there are things like product-based pyramid schemes. So yeah, Arbonne is not a pyramid scheme because there are products, but it can still be a product-based pyramid scheme. Something is a pyramid scheme if the majority of money comes through recruitment, or if the majority of money flows from bottom up top. So Arbonne is a product-based pyramid scheme, in my opinion.
I said sells. And then the third way is off bonuses. So we have a bonus every single month that we can strive for no matter what level of management you're at. So there's goods exchange, and that's the only way that we make money. Also, people will be like, oh, isn't it shaped like a pyramid? Like people at the top get paid the most. Yeah, isn't your company like that too? Isn't government like that? Isn't every single business set up like a pyramid? Yeah, it is. Also, the only difference between...
Yeah, again, I don't like her condescending tone, the way that she explains things as if people are stupid. Yeah, all businesses are shaped like a pyramid. The difference is that the CEOs and the people up top don't make money based off of people at the bottom's hard work. And in the corporate pyramid, everyone makes money. Everyone is profiting. Everyone has a salary. Everyone gets paid for the hours that they put into the work that they're hired for. In those businesses, you are not mass recruiting people to do the exact same thing. I'm gonna link some articles from the FTC down below in the description box. They compare MLMs to pyramid schemes very, very closely. You can take a look at those. She's trying to be smart. She thinks she did something with that, and she probably did for some people if they didn't do their research on MLMs. Unfortunately, that's how that goes. But I don't like her condescending tone. I really don't.
Between network marketing and other companies is that there is unlimited space at the top for people in network marketing. It's not just 1 or 2 people can become national vice presidents. No, unlimited people can become national vice presidents if you're willing to put...
And why so little people at top being national vice presidents then, out of hundreds of thousands of distributors in Arbonne? Also, no, that is not the only difference between a regular company and an MLM company, that it's uncapped. Like I just said, the difference is that the majority of people don't profit in MLMs. They work for free. You're never gonna see that in a corporate and in other non-MLM companies. That's just ridiculous, Steph.
The time and the effort and build a team and build a client base, right? And it takes people all different sorts of time, but the limit for the top is unlimited. And that's, I think, the best business opportunity that people are sleeping on, right? Because what are the chances of you becoming the CEO of your company, right? There's only one CEO. In ours, there's multiple hundreds of national vice presidents. Cool, right?
Who are not CEOs, because you can't become CEO Arbonne. It's not your business. You can be terminated even if you're a national vice president, which is the highest rank in Arbonne. The corporate can still do whatever they want with you. You don't make any decisions. They can turn affiliate. You're gonna lose your whole team. They can terminate you for whatever reason they want. It's not your business. You're not the CEO. Like, you comparing national vice presidents with CEOs, the CEO of Arbonne, is ridiculous.
So I explained the 3 ways that we make money. And then there's 4 levels of management. So we all start as independent consultants, and then you can work your way up through the management levels. The first level is district manager, and it's super possible to get there within your first few months. And actually this month we have power to district manager. So if you wanted to promote to district in 1 month, normally you need to do 6,000 in sales. This month you only need to do 3,500. So it's basically cut in half for you to become a district manager. The average income at district manager is between $250 and $1,000 a month. The second level of management is area manager.
1,000 to 2,000 a month, is it? Is it, Steph? Because the median annual income for district managers is $1,936. Average even is $2,537. So 1,000 to 2,000 a month, really? Even the top 50 average, they don't make $2,000 a month. Oh, but you go on. Please give us more numbers.
Manager. And at this level, your business becomes willable. So that just means, like, God forbid something happens to you, you can will your business on to your spouse, to your kids, to your mom, your dad, and they can take over your business from that point forward, which means that they can also continue to get the earnings that you have built up to get. Which is really cool, because I know my job didn't offer anything like that prior to Arbonne. So it's willable at that point. And the average income at area manager is between $1,000 and $4,000 a month. And then the third
$1,000, $4,000 a month. Median annual earnings $11,000. Average annual earnings $12,000. So where are we getting these numbers then? 1,000 to 4,000. Even top 50 average don't make 4,000. They don't make 4,000 a month. Maybe like one of them. I don't know. Where is she getting these numbers from? Also, by the way, I want to say that these annual earnings, they don't include any product purchase or any taxes and shipping. So these people, like, you're only probably profiting a little bit when you get to area managers rank. Maybe you're profiting at that point a little bit. This is not even profit, because, like I said before, Arbonne products are super expensive. So the majority of people are not making any profit, especially at those 2 ranks. Even if you're a district manager, I don't think you're profiting, because you're just going to spend so much money on products anyway. So, but you go on again.
Third level of management is regional vice president. And this is when you can earn the white Mercedes-Benz that I just talked to you guys about. So you get, I think in Canada, you get $1,060 a month towards your payment, or just towards it. You have to prove that you have a white Mercedes. So you can lease it, you can finance. Okay, you can lease it, you can finance it, or you can purchase like an older white Mercedes. Like, you could go find one for 5 or 10 grand, show Arbonne that you have it, and they'll give you $1,060 a month for that. If you don't want to get the white Mercedes, like my girl Ashley, tough as a mother, she got a Bronco, you can get a lifestyle bonus, which is 75% of the $1,060 towards that. So you have that available to you at regional vice president. And then the average income at regional vice president is between $5,000 and $15,000 a month. And then
$5,000 and $15,000 a month. Okay, median. Let's say she's not even talking about top 50 averages. She's talking about average earnings, which means she lied about every single rank so far, because the numbers that she's spewing are far from what the income disclosure statement shows. And the income disclosure statement is put out by Arbonne themselves. So she's lying. Or she doesn't even know what she's talking about. She's saying random numbers. 15K a month is 180,000. Do you see anywhere? Even top 50 average don't make 180,000. Where are you getting 15K, Steph? What?
The fourth level of management and the top of the company is national vice president. So you get a little bit more money for your Benz each month. So I think you get around $1,400 for your Benz. Or you get the 75% of that for the lifestyle bonus, your choice. You can put that towards your mortgage, a car of your choice, or towards whatever you want if you don't want to get the white Benz. And then you and a +1 get sent to Maui every single January for the National Vice President Leadership Retreat, which is My favorite trip by far. It is the best and they spoil us. It is unreal. And then the average starting income for a national vice president is $22,000 a month. And then it goes to unlimited because our earnings are uncapped.
This is what she said earlier. I already said it. $22,000 a month is $264,000 a year. She's talking about average annual earnings. Average annual earnings, according to this income disclosure statement, are $190,000. So, and median, which is more accurate than the average, is $148,000. So where are we getting the $22,000 a month? That is just ridiculous. There's 15 minutes left, but I'm gonna stop that here because I think we've heard enough. She straight up lied to people about the average earnings, which is pretty wild to me when people do that. Like, you're obviously lying to people. She's either lying or she doesn't know. But it's not that hard to take the average number in your own income disclosure, see your own company's income disclosure statement, and see how much people are getting on average. Like, it's not that hard to check these numbers. I don't know where she got these numbers, but like I said, she's clearly lying or she has no idea what she's talking about. You let me know down below what you think. Which one of those two do you think is happening here? Anyway, I'm gonna wrap that one up here because we've been here for way too long and it's just a way too long live stream. I'm not gonna torture you guys. Thank you so much if you're still here though with this very long video. I really do appreciate you. You're a trooper. Don't forget to click the like and subscribe button. That's a nice free way that you can support my channel if you would like to. And as always, big shout out to my channel members. Thank you guys for being here and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.